Hello everybody and welcome to this lesson on Pythagoras' theorem. Okay, so what is Pythagoras' theorem? Pythagoras' theorem is a way of working out missing lengths on a right-angled triangle. Okay, now we're going to look at two types of question, okay, which one of them is going to look at working out the length of the longest side of a triangle, which is called the hypotenuse. Okay, so this longest side here is called the hypotenuse. Okay, and we're going to look at questions as well which look at working out the length of the right angle. Okay, and we're going to use this formula here: a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So what this essentially means is the sum of the length of this side squared plus the length of this side squared is going to be equal to the length of this side squared. Okay, so essentially this area here added onto that area there is going to equal this area here. Okay, but we are looking at the lengths of the right angled triangle. Okay, and this is a quote from Pythagoras: for any right angled triangle, the sum of the areas of the two small squares is equal to the area of the larger. Okay, so if we have a look at an example. Okay, here's your right angle, your little right angle in the corner, and to work out this length C, which remember is the hypotenuse, we're going to use the formula a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, now it doesn't matter which way around you use a and b, okay, because they're being added. It doesn't matter at all. Okay, as long as you establish what the longest side is, okay, which for info is always the side opposite the right angle. So that's always the hypotenuse. The other two, it doesn't matter. So we could say this is a and this is b. Okay, so if a squared would be 6 squared plus 9 squared equals c squared. Okay, now we can work out what 6 squared plus 9 squared is, because 6 squared is 36, 9 squared is 81, and that would equal c squared. So we've got 36 plus 81, which is 117, and that equals c squared. Okay, so c is obviously not going to be 117. We've actually got to do something to 117 to work out what c is, and we do the opposite of squaring, which is to square root. So c is the square root of 117, which in your calculators is the square root of 117 to one decimal place is 10.8 centimeters. Okay, and that is the length of that side there. Okay, do one more. So we've got an 8 and a 7 side this time. Okay, so 8 squared add 7 squared is equal to c squared. So we've got 64 plus 49 equals c squared. Now if we add those together, we get 113, which is c squared. And c is therefore the square root of 113, which is the opposite of squaring. So the square root of 113 is 10.6 to one decimal place, and it's really useful and important that we put units on our answers. Okay, just so we get used to knowing that we are working out a length. Okay, so the length of that is 10.6 centimeters. Okay, so what I want you to do now is work through the attached worksheets, which looks like this. Okay, make sure you're on the correct side that says Pythagoras. Okay, there's 6 triangles for you to have a go at. I've given you enough space to do the working out on the paper as well. So if you pause your video now, we'll come back and we'll quickly go through those answers. Okay, so if you pause now, off you go. You can use, if you haven't got a calculator handy, you can use Google or something like that, or you should know what your square numbers are anyway, but you will need some sort of calculator to do with the square roots. Okay, off you go. Okay, So let's go and look at the answers. Now, the answers. So for number 1, we should have got 13.04 meters. For number 2, 9.85 meters. For number 3, 16.12 centimeters. For number 4, 7.81 meters. Number 5, 9.76 meters. And the last one, 16.46 millimeters. Okay, and you should have similar working out to that. Not a massive amount of working out, okay, just the sum, and then your square root, and then your answer. Okay? Right, so the second type of question, okay, is down here. Now, if you look at this one, so we've got our right angles on. If you look at these questions as opposed to the last questions, you have actually been given the hypotenuse this time, whereas in the first examples we were working out the hypotenuse. Okay, so we are now working out one of the smaller sides, which we can call A. Remember, A and B, it doesn't really matter. Now, if we fiddle about with the equation, okay, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Okay, so this is our original Pythagoras' equation. If we jiggle that about using your knowledge of rearranging equations, we can work out that A squared is C squared minus B squared. Okay, so A squared equals C squared minus B squared. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 9 squared take away 6 squared this time. So 9 squared take away 6 squared. So we've got 81 take away 36. Okay, and 81 take away 36 is 45. And we still need to work out the square root. Okay, so the square root of 45 is 6.7 centimeters. Okay, so 6.7 centimeters. Now, it's really important, okay, that you do this the right way around, otherwise you'll end up with a negative number. Okay, it's more common sense now just to think I need to do the bigger number, take away the smaller number. Don't get yourself doing it the wrong way around and do 6 squared minus 9 squared, otherwise you'll end up with a negative number, which is impossible for a length. Okay, so 9 squared minus 6 squared. Okay, for this one, we're going to do 8 squared minus 7 squared. Okay, which is 64 minus 49, which is 15. Okay, and remember we've got to work out the square root of 15, which is 3.9 centimeters. So the missing side here is 3.9 centimeters. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to work through the other side of the worksheet, which says Pythagoras subtracting. Okay, and I've given you a little cute clue there. You need to do the subtraction part to work out one of the smaller sides. Okay, off you go. I'm going to pause this video now, and then we'll go through the answers once you've completed it. So if we go through the answers very quickly, Pythagoras subtracting, we should have 12.69 meters, 9.75 meters, 22.63 millimeters. We've got 17.29 meters, 14.28 meters, and we've got 43.82 millimeters. Okay, so a good check is to see that these numbers should be smaller than the longest side. And if they are, there's a good chance you've done that correct. Okay, so that's a basic introduction to Pythagoras. Okay, there's lots more you can do with Pythagoras, and there's lots more sort of type of questions that I will attach as well with this that you can then have a go at. But they are the basics. Okay, adding the squares to get the longest side, or subtracting the longest side and one of the smaller sides to get one of the other smaller sides. Okay, so that's all you need to know for Pythagoras. So have a go at the other worksheet that's going to be attached to this document, and that'll be a great start for your Pythagoras. Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.